Right then, in this video I'm going to try and explain how a basic e-cigarette works, because one of the issues I get in my shop on a regular basis is people come in and they'll say my e-cigarette has stopped working, and it hasn't. Hold on, let me just give that a clean. There's obviously some e-liquid being leaking out of it. Right, so what I'm going to use for this small tutorial is an Aspire POC-X, which is a very, very popular starter kit. Now, in principle, all e-cigarettes work exactly the same way. So if I just take this apart, just take that off for a second. Right, what you have here is a battery. And that's all that bit is there, just a battery with a fire button. This is also a button that switches the e-cigarette on. In most cases, it's 5 times, press it 5 times to switch it on, 5 times to switch it off. In between, you press it once just to activate your e-cigarette. Now, in the case of the Aspire POC-X and all e-cigarettes, no matter how basic they are, even the pen style ones, they have a coil. And that is the coil that comes with a POC-X. Now, coils come in all sorts of different sizes, even shapes. You can get flat ones, square ones, but this, at the moment, this tends to be the most common type, which is cylindrical. Now, basically what happens is, in essence, is this coil screws in here and touches, effectively, the battery. So it's just sitting on top of the battery, doing nothing at the moment, until such a time as we put some e-liquid in. And can you just see there, just there, it's just stuffed full of cotton, and that cotton soaks up the e-liquid. So when you fill this up, let's just put it back together. All that happens is, so I'll put some e-liquid in here now. All that happens is the battery, when you press the fire button, and there's obviously some jiggery-pogery circuitry inside here, otherwise the button wouldn't do anything. But you press the button, that heats up this coil. It's like an element on a kettle, in essence, which in turn heats up the cotton. And when you take a draw, it's designed in such a way that you are effectively sucking up through the cotton. And you see that hole there? That's like a chimney. That's exactly where it is. So when you suck through that chimney hole I've just shown you, you then get vapour produced here, which then goes into your mouth. So you take it and draw, and then you inhale. So when people come into my shop and say, oh, my e-cigarette stopped working, effectively it can't stop working because there's nothing to stop working. 9 times out of 10 what's happened is the coil has simply had its day. Now typically I find coils of this type of e-cigarette where you're using a standard liquid, this doesn't apply to high-end e-cigarettes, but this type of coil using this type of e-liquid will typically last 4, maybe 5 weeks before it needs replacing. And I find that basically 2 things can happen. One is you get a burning taste in your mouth, and that burning taste indicates that the coil is coming to the end of its life. In some cases I find the coil, actually this e-cigarette just stops working. You press the button, you go to take a draw, and nothing happens. Replace the coil, because like I say, people come in and they say, oh, my e-cigarette stopped working. Well, actually it hasn't, because the only thing that can go wrong is that coil. There's nothing else in there to go wrong. So I also find, and this is another little tip for you, when they're putting these things together, and this doesn't just happen with the POC X, it happens with all tanks. When putting these things together, what people don't do is they don't tighten it. If you leave that too loose, it's now lost its connection to the battery, so it can't fire. So just make sure, that's all you want to do, just tighten it, that's it, until it's just nice and neat, but not too tight, so that you can't take it apart again. So you make sure you're getting a good connection on the battery. At that point, you press the fire button, you'll get a nice clean draw, and there's no issues. Later on, 3 or 4 weeks down the road, sometimes 5 or 6 weeks if you're a light user, the coil will burn out. And like I say, it'll either stop working altogether. Don't panic. Just come and get a new coil. They're not expensive. Typically for this one, £3 or something like that. Slightly more expensive coils might be £3.50. Other ones are as little as £2.50 each. So you replace the coil, and I can pretty much guarantee 9 times out of 10 that fixes any problem with the e-cigarette. And the only other thing that can typically go wrong, which again is rare because it's a gradual thing, is this is a rechargeable battery in this, and like all rechargeable batteries, after a certain time it will stop charging, basically, you know. But it takes a long time to get to that point. 9 times out of 10 I find that, especially with starter kits, long before the battery gives out, people are upgrading to something maybe a bit more sophisticated and a little bit better, you know. But that is in essence how e-cigarettes, all e-cigarettes work. There are different designs and different ways of doing it, but effectively the tank bit always has a coil, and that coil can not easily, but can burn out, or it does burn out. And that's the bit that needs to be replaced on a regular basis. How do I stop this rolling away? There you go. And if you replace that, that will eliminate all problems with your e-cigarette. So I hope that was quite a simple explanation. So just remember, coils replaced and you'll get a nice fresh hit, and you won't have any problems with your e-cigarette. Any questions, you know where to find us at cloudvapinguk.co.uk. Feel free to share the videos and like them. Thank you very much, and goodbye.